Nothing much has changed in Argentina after some midweek matchups, as Boca Juniors are still tops in the Apertura. However, Carlos Bianchi's side did suffer their first defeat of the season, an away fixture to Newell's Old Boys. After 12 Apertura encounters, Boca Juniors finally registered their first loss, and it came away from home. Part of Newell's success was keeping Carlos Tevez at bay. His setup to Pedro Larley goes wide early on, and that began a long day for Boca. Instead, it was Newell's who boosted their Open Championship chances by scoring the only goal 29 minutes in. Walter Silvani heads home the free kick by Rosales. Boca's best chance before the break came off a corner. Rolando Schiavi rises above the defenders, but defender Daniel Guiñazu was on the line to make the save as both Carlos Bianchi and Bambino Berra look on from the side. Newell's could have added to their lead late on. Home side on the break, Roberto Abondancieri came rushing out of his goal. Yaro Patino does well to get by him. He has an empty net in sight, but he loses his composure 1-0 to Newell's.
So Boca continuing to lead the way, but they have a new team hot on their heels, and it's Quilmes. Wednesday, they jumped into second in the Apertura thanks to a match with Gimnasia La Plata, who are struggling near the bottom of the table so far this season. Here are the pictures. Quilmes in dark. On the attack early on, Ariel Lopez, the work on the left side, cutting out from center, crosses to keeper Juan Alave, pushes the ball to Rodrigo Brana, but he cannot control. With the defense on him, it's deflected out as Olave decides to give his team a little bit of encouragement. No reading lips now. Still first to Gimnasia with a freebie just shy of the half circle. Initial effort, a decoy. The shot handcuffs keeper Marcello Pontaroli before he finds possession on a second effort, and we're still scoreless. Second half, dual shielding means a free kick, and this one off the wall straight to Danilo Gurla, and he slides one past Olave, and it is 1-0 for Quilmes, much to the delight of the team as they celebrate in usual fashion, and fans at the Centenario Stadium going nuts in Buenos Aires. Quilmes looking for a second. Short corner on the right side is crossed in for a header, but the effort is mistimed. Olive allowed to make the grab, and Gimnasia lucky to escape without a penalty on that play. Nelson Romero taking down Agustin Aliez. No call as we see the replay. Made a little difference. Quilmes hold on for the 1-0 win. So with that, as we said off the top, Quilmes in the second spot, surpassing San Lorenzo, Newell's, and Rosario Central. San Lorenzo a point back of second place with 23 points from 12 rounds. Newell's and Rosario rounding out the top 5 with 22 points each. At the back end, Nueva Chicago languishing in the basement of the championship with just 5 points to show for a dozen matches. Gimnasia 2 up of the bottom with 7 points. Then it's Olimpio with 9 and Velez Sarsfield with 12. Talleres rounding out the bottom 5 with 13 points, but they are level on points with 3 other sides.
In the Copa Sudamericana, one club has already qualified for the semifinals. It was somewhat of a shock result as Cienciano of Peru eliminate Brazil powerhouse Santos in their quarterfinal showdown. Carlos has the highlights.
In Cusco, Peru, Cienciano hosting Brazil Santos in the quarters of the Copa Libertadores. That's German Carti receiving and making it 1-0 as he beats Fabio Costa. The goal coming in the 11th minute. It's a beautiful no-look pass from Julio Garcia, and Carti with the goal as he finds the corner. 13 minutes later, Santos re-level the score on the individual effort from Elano. He'll dribble his way towards goal. 1-1 as he beats Oscar Ibanez. Elano with the goal more suited to Robinho's style of play. Elano with the ball pushing the defenders back. He would strike and find the net. Nice goal to tie the match at 1. But Cienciano would retake the lead. 34th, Julio Garcia the cross. Carti with the header. In the first leg, Cienciano drew versus Santos. They carried the momentum in the second leg. The Peruvian club is off to the Copa semifinals, eliminating Santos 3-2 on aggregate. In La Paz, Bolivian club, the strongest, hosting Sao Paulo of Brazil in this first leg quarterfinal. Sao Paulo in white, they would score first. Clever down the left side, cuts inside. And what a goal that was as he beats Mauricio Soria on the sweet strike. He pauses, then makes his move. The ball well struck and well placed. 1-0 after 30. The strongest re-level on a fluke. Luis Cristaldo from well out. He'll score, beating Rogerio Ceni. Obviously, the keeper was nowhere near the ball, and here's why. Cristaldo strike off the defender, 1-1 after 68. From there, it was all Sao Paulo. 1 minute later, Kleber down the left side. He'll center. What a touch that was from Fabiano to make it 2-1. Kleber doing the work, keeping the ball in play, and the slightest of touches. Nice goal. A little later, Fabio Santos would find Kleber down the right side. He'll make it 3-1 for Sao Paulo. This after 79. Condor Rojas, the Chilean coach for Sao Paulo, obviously thrilled. Nice pass from Fabio, and Kleber through the legs of Soria. Santos had time to add one more goal, and it's Gustavo Neri who would receive. He would turn downfield and strike and find the far corner to give Santos the 4-1 lead. They win comfortably away and take a 4-1 aggregate lead back to Sao Paulo for the second leg on October 29th.
The final midweek game in La Liga is in the books. Real Sociedad continues their slide with a 4-0 loss at the hands of Atletico Madrid. Fernando Torres potted 2 goals for Madrid. Next up for them, they'll travel to Real Betis this weekend, while Sociedad will entertain Barcelona, who are coming off a big midweek win over Real Murcia.
In the Copa Italia, Palermo pulled out a 3-2 win over Brescia Thursday. Pepe, Venucci, and Ferri scoring the goals in a half-hour span for Palermo, who went out front 3-1 in this contest. Correa and Gonzalez responded for Brescia. The final goal of the game coming in the 84th. The win moves Brescia to the next phase of the Copa.
The following is sponsored by British Airways, offering truly flat beds in business class for a better sleep to London.
Another tale of 2 winless teams unfolded at the Rugby World Cup Thursday as Namibia and Romania met in the second-last match in Pool A. Much like Canada and Tonga Wednesday, these 2 teams relegated to spectators after this match, but each wanting to end the World Cup on a winning note. A beautiful night for rugby at York Park, and the tone set early in this match, 2.5 minutes in. Ianu Tofan out to Brezianu, to Tonita, out wide to Petroke, and the big lock forward just gets it down. They had to go to review to make sure he did have possession, and it actually looks like the ball may have been forced out early. Still, the try is counted 7-0 Romania following the convert. With the score 10-0, Tofan would put them up 13 with his second penalty of the opening half. Romania in total control in the 18th minute. The leaders would add a second try in the 26th. A collapsed scrum allows Romania to keep possession, and alertly Lucian Sirbu quick kicks to himself and then slips in for the 5 points. 20-0 with the Tofan convert. 3 minutes later, they are back for a third. A rock inches out is possessed by Romania. Sirbu takes the ball and pitches to a charging George Chiriac, and he bowls his way in. And this one getting ugly fast. 27-zip Romania. They would keep it coming. Moments before the break, they would score another one. Tonita with a nice move, and then it's just a matter of getting it wide. Teodorescu, the last to take it, and he would dot down for another 5. 32-0 Romania at the restart. Namibia come out with purpose, though, in the second. They get on the board within 15 minutes. Ronaldo Pedro to Eben Isaacs, and number 5 dots down for 5, as fans of the team finally have a reason to cheer. 32-7 with the convert, and could we see a comeback? Well, no. 78th, Romania. One more to finish it off. Nice inside passing. Christian Sawan just gets across the try line. 4 or 5 points, no convert. 37-7 is the final from York Park as Romania get their first win in Pool A.
Big party tonight. O să se producă în special prima repriză care ne-a făcut o mare plăcere și a doua repriză pentru că am încercat să facem mult spectacol.
We'll celebrate in particular the first half, which we played very well, but also the second half where we tried to show some good rugby.
You're proud of the guys for tonight's performance?
I wouldn't say proud, I would just say satisfied. We really want to win those guys, and we aimed for it, but it didn't work so well for us. But anyhow, some of the players was good, and we done some good. So.
Oh, some encouraging words there to win the World Cup. Here's the breakdown in Pool A with 1 match to go. Australia and Ireland are level on points, and those 2 will meet to decide the group on Saturday. Argentina sits 3rd on points with 11. Then it's Romania with 5 points and Namibia finishing off with 0 points.
Ireland have named their squad that will face Australia in the match that will decide who will advance out of Group C as winners and who advances as runners-up. Also on this day, England have been punished for an incident that occurred in their victory over Samoa on Sunday. Carlos has those details.
Tournament organizers announced on Wednesday that England has been charged with misconduct for acting against the instructions of touchline official Brett Bowden when they sent Dan Luger onto the pitch as a replacement late in Sunday's Pool C fixture with Samoa. Luger was to replace center Mike Tyndall, who was receiving treatment on the pitch. While England had 16 players, Luger made a tackle before being told to leave less than a minute after going on. An independent judicial officer delivered the verdicts, with fitness coach Dave Redden suspended for 2 matches after being found guilty of misconduct. Redden ordered Luger onto the pitch. The England rugby team were also fined $17,000. Ireland have named their side to face Australia on Saturday in a match that will decide the winner of Pool A. Included in their lineup, Dublin-born but Sydney-raised open-side flanker Keith Gleeson.
I think he knows some of the boys he's going to play against on Saturday pretty well. Played with them on the way up. So I think it's a good game for him to go into. I think he'd want to prove a point. If we did anything less than pick our best team for Saturday, we'd be capitulating to a game that we believe we can win.
Ireland have qualified for the quarters. They've looked impressive and could cause the Wallabies serious problems. But Coach Eddie O'Sullivan does have one worry: the large number of match officials from the Southern Hemisphere.
It is a concern when you get an overload on one side than the other. You wonder, what are we doing? What have we done here that we haven't been doing before, you know? And that is a concern, I have to say. In a tight game, these calls make all the difference.
Even though Ireland and Australia have made it through to the next round, a victory at the Telstra Dome on Saturday should mean an easier tie in the final 8, and that's something well worth fighting for.
Here's a look at the upcoming matches at the World Cup. The last match in Pool B, France faces the United States. There is very little riding on the result of this one, with Les Bleus already guaranteed as winners of Pool B, and the Eagles having no chance progressing to the knockout stage. Saturday, November 1st in Pool A, host Australia will take on Ireland at the Telstra Dome, and in Pool B at Aussie Stadium, Scotland will face Fiji, while finally in Pool C, South Africa plays Samoa.
This segment on rugby was sponsored by British Airways, offering truly flat beds in business class for a better sleep to London.
Time for a quick break, but when we come back, Ducati begin testing and look back on a season to remember in MotoGP.